recent pandemic really shone a light on the need for broadband across the nation and particularly for rural communities. And I know, Bill, you've worked in the field for a while and worked specifically with smaller communities on thinking about why broadband investment is important and how they can take action to ensure that their community members have access to broadband capabilities that allow them to work or take classes or open their own small business from their homes, wherever that might be. So I'd love it if you could just talk a little bit about why, from your experience, broadband is something that community leaders really should be focusing on, and where that opportunity lies for them.
Thanks, Jennifer. If communities don't have good broadband services now, they really need to put it high on their priority list. There's a real need to make sure that broadband is available for all kinds of the uses that you talked about. And increasingly, broadband is something that people look at as a key decision-making factor for moving to a community. The recent US Census has shown that places with better broadband service have higher levels of population growth. And this goes back, the formation of this broadband crisis in rural communities really goes back to the 1996 Telecom Act, where the FCC decided that we should have a competition as the main driving force for broadband investment. And actually the Telecom Act really talked very little about the internet. It was just in 1996, it was just really coming on the forefront of being important, but it was all really about competitive telephone service. And so what the results of that were that in some places, multiple networks were serving very competitive, mostly business markets, but more residential and especially rural residential was really left unserved. And the reason for that is that most infrastructure, roads, highways, electricity, things like that are built either by the government or by regulated monopolies, and where they can say, okay, we're going to get our money back over a long period of time for this large infrastructure investment. When broadband and telecommunications moved into the competitive marketplace, those long-term returns were not really assured. And so the idea of a company saying, hey, we'll invest money that might take us 10 years or 20 years to get our capital out of this in a nice steady return, that didn't really happen. People said, hey, we want our money back in 2 or 3 or 4 years. And that just really left out rural areas.
Where do community leaders fit into this broadband equation?
Community leaders really need to make sure that they're the ones determining what level of broadband that they have. And so as they think about how do they invest now public dollars in broadband networks, they should think about what kind of technology is good enough for us. What kind of provider partner do we want that can be an economic development partner, somebody who's there to provide high quality internet services, but also high quality customer service, jobs for our local people, and ideally some return on that investment to the community.